what's up friends, Glitchxcity back here today, bringing you my team builder for the NPL finals up against Cheeseboy 628. The battle's going to be taking place in about 3 hours time, so I'm just recording this team builder, in advance, and giving you guys a bit of an understanding of why I brought the ones I did and the sets and such. I actually built so many teams for this battle, contemplating which is the better kind of play style to go versus Cheese team. But ultimately I decided on this one, and we're just gonna have to wait and see how it goes versus Cheese when the match does happen. But as you guys can see there, Cheese's team to the right is just insanely strong. He's got the combination of Kyurem Black, Mega Blastoise, and Talonflame, supported by spikes from Klefki. So definitely, huge offensive powerhouses. And even though I do have great bird checks on my team in the form of Aloe, Zapdos, and Stunfisk, the God, Talonflame can still potentially beat them, as ridiculous as it sounds depending on its set. Especially defensive Talonflame set with like Bulk Up or SD could be a huge problem to my team. An offensive Talon could really shred my team if Blastoise and Kyurem can pressure the rest of my mons. Obviously Kyurem checks Zapdos quite nicely. Depending on the Kyurem set, it can beat Alamomola. Blastoise handily beats my Alamomola because I'm a Fizdef set. So yeah, and with spike support, like stuff like Mew and Alamomola and Whimsicott, all my grounded mons are going to be really pressured by spikes. So that's definitely something I've taken into consideration when building this team. We're going to start off with my boy Nidoking right here, rocking the Shukaberry for the Dugtrio, which I think is a likely bring. Nidoking's main role is obviously to set up Stealth Rocks. I'm rocking an Adamant set this week with Thunder Punch, which allows me to 2-hit KO Blastoise on the switch. Obviously getting Stealth Rocks up is crucial. I don't really think he's going to bring Latios, but he may bring Latios. That's a possibility. Although I do have some pretty handy answers to Latios. I do have Weavile on the team, which is a pretty big deterrent. Latios can't really, he can prep for knockoff, but he can't prep for Yachi and vice versa. He can't prep for Icicle Crash, sorry. And then, I have stuff like Metagross and Whimsicott and Spidef Mew and Zapdos. It's just, Latios doesn't have a very good time, but at the same time, if he brings the right set, if he brings a Carmine Lati set, that's going to be a big issue to my team. And definitely has forced me to build in a certain way. So, yeah, the idea behind Nidoking is to set up rocks to pressure his Klefki, because unless it's backing Magnet Rise, it's going to drop to EQ, unless it's a Reflect set. And then we get, obviously we've got Sucker Punch for stuff like the Kyurem, stuff like the Lati, like a weakened Kyurem. The Lati, it's actually very nice in conjunction with EQ, because if I can catch the Dugtrio wanting to take me out with an Earthquake, he'll pop a Shuka, I'll live it, and then I have the chance to Sucker Punch the next turn if he chooses to attack and doesn't set up rocks, for example. But yeah, that's the kind of thought process behind Nidoking. Only enough speed to outspeed, max speed, modest Blastoise. I don't expect him to run timid. Cheese hasn't typically run timid all season from what I've seen. He favors bulky Blastoise, or if he does want to run offensive Blastoise, he's going to run modest. He doesn't really have a reason to run timid, because it's outspeeding Metagross, like a max speed Jolly Metagross, but yeah, it doesn't really have too much merit versus me, so I don't expect a timid Blastoise. And obviously I have mons I can scout for that if I need to. I'm not going to stain on a Blastoise if he's above, if he's at full, because Nidoking's Thunder Punch doesn't kill obviously. So anyway, moving on. Next up we have Metagross. Metagross, we're rocking a Scarf set this week. With this investment, it allows me to... Sorry, back to Nidoking real quick. Another reason for this Nidoking, the defensive investment, is I do believe he's going to run Scarf Tita. Scarf Tita is a mon that quite handily checks offensively Mega Pinsir. While he could run Choppleberry to counter a close combat variant with enough defense investment, if I get to +2 somehow, then he's screwed, because +2 can kill through a Chopple. And I really feel as though he is likely to run Scarf, and having the Shuka also allows me to tank, obviously, like a Scarf EQ from Tyranitar. So moving on, as I said, we have Metagross right here. We're rocking a Scarf variant. I outspeed Tita, I outspeed Scarf Tita with my speed investment. The Jolly Scarf Tita, I outspeed max speed Timid Blastoise again, just in case he ran it. More importantly though, I outspeed a max speed Jolly Talonflame. Now, the whole idea behind this is, if I get into a situation late game where Talon is looking that he can sweep my team with SD, Flare Blitz, Brave Bird, I am going to have Metagross in the back with the Scarf Rock Slide. Now, Scarf Rock Slide, like, if he predicts me to be Scarf somehow, then like then he's likely going to click Brave Bird, and it's not going to do much. But if he obviously doesn't predict Scarf, because Scarf Metagross is pretty uncommon, he's likely to click Willow or Fleblets depending on his set, meaning Rock Slide guarantees the kill. If he's like a mono attacking SD Roost, variant of Talonflame, then I have Thunder Punch if I don't want to miss, and he's around 70. So that's the idea behind Metagross. I have Hammer Arms, Oko, Scarf Tita. Iron Head does a good amount to Laddie, does a good amount to his Kyurem as well, so having a mon that can outspeed Kyurem is very nice. Yeah, Scarf Metagross looking like a nice late game win con, depending on what mons he brings and how he plays them. So Iron Head also kills Dugtrio, a standard Dugtrio set. He does need to run a lot of speed to outspeed Weavile. Sorry, not Weavile. To outspeed the Whimsicott, to outspeed my other like base 100s. He can't really afford to run. He can't really afford to run Adamant, in my opinion. And even if he does run Adamant and he's Sash, I live because Metagross is so bulky, so not too worried about Dugtrio here. But yeah, a very nice mon to have. Thunder Punch doesn't do that much to Blastoise if he's a really bulky variant, but it is the strongest move I can hit him with if I come into a situation where he's low health, and I want to get that kill. So next up we have Zapdos, especially defensive set, aim to take on Blastoise. I'm rocking Discharge and Toxic. Toxic is predominantly here for the Kyurem B switch in. I do predict Kyurem B to be, or one of his ground types to be the switch into Zapdos. If I can get that thing Toxic, put him on a timer, I can pivot around my defensive mons, whittle it down, putting it in a range of stuff like Sucker Punch and Drain Punch from you and things of that nature. So obviously we have Defog because spikes are a big pain to my team. I don't want spikes around. I want to keep my rocks up. I'm willing to make the sacrifice of him having spikes up if it means me having rocks up, because rocks are just so crucial in this matchup. But I'd rather not have spikes up, if I can help it. So obviously Defog is essential in that regard. Discharge, because the difference between Thunderbolt and Discharge in terms of damage isn't really too much. Like, they both 2-hit KO Blastoise. They both don't 2-hit KO Klefki. Discharge, there's no reason not to run it over Thunderbolt. It's the electric Scald, so I may as well. Yeah, so this spread easily tanks Ice Beams from Blastoise. I can roost off the damage, and get rid of my flying typing, so Ice Beam isn't going to be doing much. I have lefties for that nice passive recovery. Zapdos is pretty nice, and even though it's especially defensive, it still takes on Talon reasonably well. Spreading Toxics is going to be pretty nice this game if he brings the team that I believe he is going to bring. So then we have Alamamola rocking a Rest Talk set this week. The main kind of concept behind this is that I do expect him to pack like a Willow Talonflame. I'm thinking that a Spadef Talonflame is going to come. Willow Taunt isn't bad versus my team either, so if he's a Willow Taunt variant, it won't allow me to wish up necessarily. Having Rest allows me to, the kind of idea behind Rest is that if he does bring Kyurem and it's like mixed coverage, and I get a Toxic off with Zapdos, I can hard into Alamamola to tank the Ice Beam, and then the next turn when he goes for Fusion Bolt, I live because of my defensive investment, and I can rest up. So just whittling him down further. If he's Life Orb, that's even better, because then I guarantee live the hit, and he's taking more passive damage with the Toxic and the Life Orb damage. Rest also allows me to rest off status, which is going to be pretty big, because I feel as though crippling Aloe with status is a nice way to kind of reduce this effectiveness of checking Talon and checking his other physically offensive threats on his team. So it also allows me to more handily beat a Sableye if he does bring it. Sableye is a big pain. Sableye can Willow me. If he has Taunt, that's obviously going to be an issue, but I can spam Scald, force him to recover, and perhaps get a rest off on one of his recovers. Again, Toxic on Aloe is nice because Kyurem B is a pretty likely switch into Aloe. Either Kyurem B or something like Blastoise, and getting a Toxic off on those big bulky threats is definitely something I want to kind of capitalize on. So next up we have a pretty nice spicy one. We have Specs Whimsicott, rocking Modest. You may think, why are you running Modest, you pleb? He has a Latias. I don't expect him to be packing like really super effective coverage for Whimsicott if he does bring Latios. but more importantly, I need the Modest Nature to guarantee certain KOs. I need it to guarantee a Moonblast KO on the Kyurem if he's not a minus Spit F nature. I can't afford to run Timid. I need the Modest to hit hard. Originally I had HP Ground to spank incoming Spit F Talonflames and physically offensive Talonflames, but Carmine Laddie was too big a threat to my team to allow myself not to run Encore, because if for some reason I don't have Whimsicott in on Laddie when it comes into sub up, then it can sub up, it can start Carmining and 1v1 my Whimsicott if I'm like choice locked into specs. And I don't have it, and my best way to hit it is Moonblast. He can eventually whittle me down and beat me with that. So having Encore, like, it was kind of a last minute change. I don't know how it's going to go. We'll see if he does bring it or not. But I felt as though it was too important of a move to pass up. Obviously, crippling Talon, like a Spit F Talon with an HP Rock, which is going to do about 70% on the switch in, is going to be really nice. However, I feel as though switcherooing it, the specs is also almost as good as getting a nice HP Rock off, as I do have fairly solid checks to Talon on my team. So Whimsicott, yeah, as I say, Grass Knot is really nice for the Blastoise as well, doing massive damage to the Blastoise. Depending on his spread, it can kill him, which is very nice. And yeah, just a pretty solid mon overall. I can pretty much spam Moonblast after Klefki and Talon have been eliminated, which is very nice. Moonblast and Grass Knot obviously being super effective against Tyranitar. Moonblast still does about 40%, 41% to a an offensive Talon spread, so that's pretty nice damage, not gonna lie. And this speed investment allows me to outspeed Max Speed Timid Kyurem and Max Speed Jolly Kyurem, so pretty important hitting that number there. So last up we have Mew. The Mew spread is a specially defensive, predominantly specially defensive spread to take on like a mixed Kyurem quite well. I do have Drain Punch for the Tyranitar and the Kyurem. If I can, Drain Punch isn't going to be doing much to the Kyurem, but it will allow me to get a little bit of nice recovery back whilst whittling him down. The whole like toxicing the Kyurem is something I really want to do. If I can toxic it, then Drain Punch plus toxic plus potential Life Orb is going to be putting in that work versus the Kyurem. But obviously, like, that may not be how the situation works out. Drain Punch and Stone Edge can break Kyurem's sub if I need to. I wanted to run Willow, but then this set is walled by a bulk up Spit F Talonflame or something in that nature. It's walled by any Talonflame set with lefties, so I opted to run Stone Edge because I feel as though he's likely to set up on my. He's likely to attempt to set up on my Mew with this Talon, especially if he starts calking my Mew spread versus his Kyurem, or one of his specially attacking mons. Like if he starts calking, the way I tank hits from Blastoise and Kyurem, he may assume I am a Spit F Mew set. He may like go to the calc and type in Spit F Mew and find, look at its moveset or something like that, or just assume that I'm not packing offensive coverage with Talon. And because Talon is such a huge threat, I need a way to hit it hard. So that's the kind of concept behind Stone Edge there. Alright guys, so that's the team. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be back momentarily with the match. I'm going to link the match in after it happens to the end of this team builder, so hope you enjoy and hopefully we can finish the season off with a perfect record. Alright guys, so here we are back with the finals match up against Cheese Boy. As you guys can see, Cheese elected not to bring Kyurem Black, which is a big relief for me, because that thing was a pretty big threat to my team. However, he has decided to bring Phanpy, and Phanpy, however you say that. Yeah, and he brought Phanpy, and a lot of people are going to look at this and think, why the fuck would Cheese bring Phanpy? What was he thinking? That was not me. I was looking at that thinking, Jesus Christ, I've got a Sash, Endeavor, Ice Shard, Phanpy with Tyranitar Sand facing me. Like, this is dangerous. People were joking in the chat, like laughing, like, why did he bring Phanpy? And then I was looking at my team and I was thinking to myself, the majority of my mons, 4 of my mons get hit by Sandstorm. Phanpy is immune to Sandstorm, it gets Endeavor, and it gets Ice Shard. So this is very troubling. This is very, very troubling actually. If you really stop and think about what Phanpy does versus me, it guarantees a kill. If Sand's up, it guarantees a kill versus my team in one turn, because it can Endeavor a mon, and then that mon can get chipped by Sand. If the mon is immune to Sand, then it has Ice Shard priority to take it out next turn. This guarantees a kill versus my team, literally. There's nothing I can do to actually stop Fanfi from getting a kill if Sand is up versus my passive mons, and I cannot stop it from getting a kill versus my other mons either. If it's a shed shell variant, I believe Fanfi does get sturdy, so if it's a shed shell variant, I believe that's how the mechanics work. He will be getting his health back after doing damage to me with Endeavor. Like, he'll be just getting his full health back, restoring his sturdy, giving him another opportunity to endeavor something after taking its former victim out with Ice Shard. So, like, as much of a meme as this looks, it, you know, Cheese is not a dumb builder at all. He's a very good player, and he, although he doesn't have a lot of time to prep because he just has such an incredibly busy life, the dude is like Superman, literally. He is no slouch when it comes to prep, as he showed in his semi-finals match. His prep game is definitely on point when it needs to be, and yeah, I mean, it's not as, you know, obviously threatening as Kieran Black, but if you guys can see right there, it says level 1. So if that isn't a dead giveaway of Endeavor, Sash, Ice Shard, Fanfi, then I don't know what else is. So yeah, I was definitely, you know, really running through scenarios in my head how I was going to deal with that Fanfi. Really wanting to get hazards up to break it sturdy, and you know, take it out with in any way I could, because it is a guaranteed kill versus my mons, whereas nothing else on his team guarantees a kill. Literally nothing else. Nothing else on my team on his team can OHKO any member of my team that I don't have a response to. Obviously, Talent kills Whimsicott and such, but I've got good responses to that. So anyway, looking at matchup, I'm feeling like Fanfi, either Fanfi or Doug Trio will have Stealth Rocks. Either the fact that he's level 1 Fanfi makes me think that he probably doesn't have Stealth Rocks on it. The Stealth Rocks probably are belonging to Doug Trio. I don't think Tyranitar is going to have rocks. I feel as though Tyranitar is likely a Sash variant, because if you look at his team and look at Mega Pincer, a Scarf Tyranitar, I think I said Sash Tyranitar, I meant to say Scarf Titar, actually checks it quite nicely. It also checks Zapdos, which is a pretty big threat to his team. And I feel as though Scarf is his best set versus me. As I said, I don't think Chopper is good, but I don't feel as though it's his best way of checking Mega Pincer. I think the safer option is to go Scarf. Talon could be anything, it could be Spadef. I was feeling as though it would be Spadef because it is the best set against me. Mega Blasters is a threat, and he's brought Clef Key to stack hazards. You see he's got the Doug Trio that trap my grounded mons, which is you know, I was very glad to see it because I had prepped for it. So nonetheless, we're going to jump into the match. I decided to lead off with Zapdos because he tends to lead with Talon. You know, he favors the Talon lead with U-turn. Obviously, if he's Spadef, he's unlikely to have U-turn, but if anything, he was going to lead either Talon or something like Doug Trio or Fanfi, and getting a Toxic off on that thing would be pretty nice, as that would really limit his ability to take out my mons later on with Shed Shell if he was going to be that sort of set. So we're going to click play. I lead off with Zapdos as he leads off with his Blastoise. Now, this was interesting. I spent quite a while thinking about this turn. Whilst obviously I could just click Discharge here and get some clean damage off on the Blastoise. He has 2 ground types, and he has a T-Tar that can switch in and take nothing from a Discharge, even if it is an offensive variant. So my play here is definitely to Toxic. I don't really see him going out to Klefki because Klefki kind of loses to Zapdos anyway. So I lost nothing by clicking Toxic here, as that's what we go for. And you guys are going to see Cheese Mega Evolves and actually clicks Mirror Coat. So very, very nice prep on his part. Had I discharged there, then I would have lost my Zapdos. It does enough to where Zapdos dies, even at max HP, because Blastoise is pretty bulky. I do believe Zapdos would have dropped there to that Mirror Coat. I would have lost a fantastic talent check. I would have lost my way of answering this Mega Blastoise. Although the fact that I've got it on a poison time, on a toxic timer now, means that my mons do have an easier time taking it on, specifically Mew. Obviously Whimsicott threatens it offensively, but yeah, this Blastoise is definitely a threat, and if it were to take up my Zapdos here, I would be at 6-5 down on the very first turn of the game. So glad I didn't fall for that one there, but very nice prep on Cheese's part. I gotta give him complete props to that. I did not even think about Mirror Coat. I didn't even consider it. I'll be really honest with you. Toxic was my play there 100%, but he just proved that his prepping really came through right there. So I'm going to go for the double Toxic because he's likely going to switch out to T-Tar here, trying to catch my either my double or he's just trying to catch me discharging that turn as he brings in his T-Tar, and we do get the Toxic off. So this is really nice, because this is a situation I want. I want his Scarf Mon. I do think this is going to be Scarf. I want it to be on a time with Toxic. I want it to be taking residual damage as much as possible. I'm going to switch out to my Aloe here just to scout his set. I don't think he is going to be anything but Scarf Tar, but if for some reason he's like a Bantar, I'll be able to scout with my Aloe as he makes the double out to Klefki, which is a very nice play in his part. I wanted to capitalize on my defensive switch in. So Klefki now gives him the opportunity to set up spikes if he wants to. It's a very nice play on Cheese's part, getting that momentum with Klefki. As I just go into my Nita here, because I don't want to let him set up hazards free without punishing that, so I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rocks on this turn. As he now switches out to Dogtrio, most likely a Sash variant, knowing he can trap my Nidoking. Even if I do fire off an attack that turn, he would live with his Sash. Now we're going to see where the Sugar Berry comes into play. He fires off an EQ here, and it does under 50, clean 47, and we can just get that Earthquake off, taking him right down to his Sash. And I can take him out here with a Sucker Punch now. I felt as though he couldn't really risk my Nidoking staying in. I did deliberate on this turn quite a while to potentially lull him into a false sense of security that I didn't have Sucker. But I did just click it there. Whilst he could have gone for Stealth Rock, I don't think, I feel as though his play was to EQ, because this Nidoking is a huge threat to his team. It checks Klefki. The fact that he switched out with Klefki led me to believe that he wasn't carrying Magnet Rise, and you know, he also may have just wanted to get Dugtrio in before Rock, so T-Spikes, preserving its Sash, so I can also understand that play. But either way, killing Nidoking is a big win for him, so I felt as though he was going to attack me there. As now he's just going to bring in his T-Tar. This is Screaming Choice Scarf. I just showed max power Adamant EQ. I mean, Dugtrio would have dropped to a non-invested EQ, but like, it's likely that I am a physically offensive set. I've just shown EQ. Like, you don't bring a T-Tar in on a Nidoking that's shown EQ unless you're a Scarf variant. So unless he's the Lord of Bluffs, I do predict him to be Scarf here. So I'm just going to go out into my Aloe as his T-Tar is going to go for the Crunch here. A Crunch would have taken Nidoking out of that range for sure. T-Tar is nice and strong even with a Scarf variant. He takes Rocky Helmet and he takes Toxic, so we're putting T-Tar into a range. I did the calc. That was definitely Jolly Scarf damage. So that was the amount of that was the amount of damage that that a Jolly Scarf T-Tar would have dished out to Aloe. So I was pretty happy to see that that sort of damage from my Aloe. I know he's not a banded set, which could be, you know, a bit more of a pain, to be honest. But it's getting whittled, so that's what I like to see. So now Klefki comes in. I'm just going to fire for Scald because I could potentially get a burn on anything that wanted to come in. But there's no point staying in here. I'm just going to make the switch right out to my Zapdos. So he's now going to go for another layer of spikes, which is a bit worrying because my team is heavily grounded. I don't really want to be taking all this spikes damage, but I don't want to defog the hazards away either, because keeping up Stealth Rocks for that talent is crucial. Keeping, as I mentioned in the team builder, keeping up hazards, keeping up my rocks to put Blastoise in range to die to 2 Thunder Punches is crucial too. It actually dies to 2 Thunder Punches from Metagross now as well, which is nice, with rocks and a round of Sandstorm damage. So very nice having those rocks up, although having spikes on my side of the field is definitely not ideal either, because my team is severely weak to spikes, as you can see the 6 I've brought. So we're in a situation where he's Toxic my Zapdos, and he now reveals Protect, so he's somewhat of a Toxic Protect, pretty nice set to be honest, because it does ease in the way of taking on Zapdos. However, Heat Wave still does, like, is it still a 2-hit KO, so I'm not really sure like how effective that would be at 1v1ing Zapdos, but it is nice for stuff like the Mew. It's actually a pretty nice set because it can Toxic Stall effectively in my defensive mons. But you already know we're packing that Heal Bell on Mew, so it's not even an issue. At this point, I didn't want his Klefki to... basically, I didn't want to invite in the T-Tar after take... I could have switched out with Mew and Heal Belled, but then he could have just continually set up spikes, and then he was being able to come in with T-Tar and potentially trap my Mew. So I felt as though my play was just to take out the Klefki with Zapdos, even though Zapdos was going to be at a low range of health. I really felt like that was a trade I was willing to make. So Klefki gets paralyzed there, pretty unfortunate, but he does get the Protect off here, as now I can just go for the Discharge again. Zapdos is getting pretty whittled down by the Toxic damage, which is definitely racking up, but I know that even after this round of Toxic, I'm going to be at a range of health where I can heal up on something like the Phanpy or the Blastoise. But the Tyranitar just comes in right now, and he could click Pursuit here, and even if he does, like, it's not the end of the world. I still do have Whimsicott to take on the Blastoise, and I still do have like Nidoking and such. I felt as though he was more likely going to click Stone Edge here though, because he doesn't know if I'm a setup Mew, and if he locks himself into Pursuit, then that is potentially setup bait for Mew. So I felt as though going for Stone Edge was his play of choice there, as he just fights off a Crunch, knowing it would take out Zapdos at that range of health, and also guaranteeing him damage on the Nidoking and the Metagross, which would resist Stone Edge, so definitely a good play on his part. But Aloe can just come in here and tank the Crunch with these. I'm going to click Rest here, because even if he fires up another Crunch, I know Aloe will live, and I lose nothing by resting up here. I can pretty safely heal Bell up with Mew, which is actually what I proceed to do over the next few turns. You're going to see Blastoise taking all that nice residual damage. I don't think this is going to be a Rest variant. As you guys are going to see, he does go for the Rapid Spin here, so he does get the rocks away, which is not very good. So it's a great play for Cheese, because now his Talon is less pressured. He can come in pretty freely, and if I'm to bring in Nidoking again, it's going to be at a really low amount of health. It's going to get outsped by T-Tire Talon. It's probably going to, it obviously isn't going to die to an Ice Shard from Phanpy, but I'm going to have a hard time keeping rocks up. So at this point, I'm just going to click Heal Bell with my Mew, because I want to wake up Aloe, because Aloe is my most healthy check to Talon now, as he fires off the Dark Pulse, and we tank that relatively well. I definitely think he's definitely somewhat invested. I don't know if that's complete modest max, but definitely somewhat invested, as we are pretty specially defensive. So Blastoise is whittling me down, but now that the Sandstorm's gone, I can get to a fairly nice amount of health. So I'm just gonna roost up once more as he brings in his T-Tire. Now I know I can survive a Crunch from this range of health, and I can just Drain Punch to take him out. Crunch is doing like 66% max, I think, or maybe it was like 66 to 70, around that sort of range. I know I can live one and take him out with a Drain Punch, restoring my health back. I really felt as though if I take T-Tire out here, he's likely going to go into Talon thinking he can set up on Mew, and that really was my sort of frame of mind at this point in the match. I felt as though if he does want to come back, he needs to set up with his Wincon. So we are just going to click Drain Punch here, as he actually ends up firing off the Stone Edge, maybe predicting my Aloe to come in, as he knew that was, I'd shown that to be twice now my switch into T-Tire, so that would have made a lot of sense if he had predicted that, not wanting to take the Rocky Helmet damage. Also would have, he wouldn't have gone down to the Toxic after that turn, so we could have hit 2 Stone Edges. So 2 Stone Edges plus 3 rounds of Spikes and Sand. Alamola may have, actually no, Aloe was back at full health, so it wouldn't have even been in range, but it would have dished out a decent amount of damage to where maybe Spadef Talon could come in and 1v1 the Aloe and have a pretty nice time versus my team. But we do take him out with the Drain Punch there, as now Talon is just going to come in, and I have no reason not to click Stone Edge. Mew dies. Mew essentially is dead upon entry to these spikes. If I risk going out to Aloe here and he does, and he's like Banded Brave Bird, then Aloe is most likely going to get to a KO'd after Spikes and Sand. Him setting up an SD here is his kind of way of coming back in this match, and I feel as though I could punish that. So I'm just going to stay in here and click Stone Edge, as he does set up with an SD, and we land the edge and we clean take out the Talon. So pretty nice for us. He's going to bring out his Phanpy, and the Lord is inside. I'm just going to go out to my Zapdos, as he now goes for the Endeavor. The reason I went out to my Zapdos was just in case he wanted to set up rocks. I could actually defog the hazards away or roost up, but he does confirm to be this Endeavor set, as it does take me out at this point, because I'm going to go down to Sand. So very nice set on Cheese's part. As I said, it does guarantee him a kill, literally. So he's going to go for the Endeavor after I Scald him. And you guys are going to see I get the Scald Burn. It wouldn't really have mattered, because the Sandstorm was going to subside at the end of that turn anyway, so Alan Waller was going to live a hit. And But then Fanfi could have ice shotted me the next turn though, so Fanfi would have got 2 kills had I not got the burn. So that thing definitely is a monster for sure. But now Blastoise just comes in and is going to take out my Aloe with his Dark Pulse, and then he's going to go down to the Toxic. So very nice game to my boy Cheese. Very well played, dude. The Fanfi set was nice meme, but it was definitely very effective as well. It you know, people probably think it was a bit of a joke, but I can definitely understand the thought process behind it for sure. And it literally got 2 kills. Well, it would have got 2 kills had it not got burnt by Scald. So I really did enjoy this match. I spent a lot of time prepping for it, and Cheese played really well. He, like I said, he is a very busy guy. He's doing an insane amount of classes at college, and he's just got a very busy life. He did not have nearly the amount of time I had to prep for this match, but he still played really well, and he still put his heart into it, and he had an amazing season. He got to finals, so big congratulations to Cheese on the amazing season. But yeah, guys, there we have it. A clean run through the NPL. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. Couldn't really have asked for a better season, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun. I'm very grateful to have been a part of it all, and yeah, that's it. That's NPL season 5. I hope you guys enjoyed my journey through the NPL. I really do appreciate all the support I've gotten from all my friends and people who've discovered my channel as I've been going through it. It does really mean a lot, and I hope you've enjoyed it. The NPL is something that I've watched for a long time now, and to be a part of it is just awesome. You know, and to meet everyone has just been you know, really big and really exciting. They're all really nice people. Probably the nicest community that I've actually come across within, like, you know, Pokemon at all. So yeah, very happy to be a part of the NPL family. Next time. Alright guys, so just before I finish, I want to say thank you to some friends of mine who gave me mocks throughout the season. Firstly, I want to thank my boy Anthony Zazu, aka Purple Raven, Iron Flash Gaming. He's been a friend of mine for a long time now. Amazing draft player, and he's been throughout the season. He's given me a fair amount of mocks, and I do really appreciate that, brother. It means a lot. Definitely go and check out his channel, guys. I'm going to be leaving all these guys' links in the description. Next, I want to thank my boy Matty Brolick and Sebastian, aka Top Tier Boy. 2 other competitors in the NPL. You know, they started out as people that I knew from YouTube, and by the end of the season, we were really good mates, and that's pretty awesome, to be honest. All wins aside, competition, you know, meeting people and making friends with them was really cool. They're great dudes, just like Anthony, and they you know, we all gave each other mocks, and we all had a good time. We all got along. They're really awesome dudes, and I consider them my good friends. Next, I want to thank Mama Jolt, another awesome dude that I've known for a long time now. And he, you know, Jolt, the commissioner of the NPL, the guy who makes this all possible, along with Togue, who works really hard on it all. I definitely appreciate it, dude, and I appreciate you giving me a shot in the NPL. It's all because Jolt, you know, suggested that I apply for the NPL all that time ago, and yeah, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate the mocks you gave me during the season, and you know, the support, all that good stuff. And lastly, I want to thank Paul, my boy Paul Bartel, who also gave me mocks throughout the season, and has been a friend of mine since we met in Anthony's league in the BCF all that time ago. So yeah, very lucky to have good mates around me. I hope you guys enjoyed the journey, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to be back for season 6. So expect, you know, hopefully we can continue the streak going into season 6 and get some more huge matches up. Looking forward to playing my friends in the coming season, and seeing how the Sun and Moon meta affects the draft community and the draft meta. So that'll be really exciting to see. I hope you guys enjoyed. There's still going to be draft content up on my channel, but I'm not really going to be taking draft all that seriously, probably until the next season of the NPL, just because I don't want to get too burnt out. Obviously, I'm going to be having fun in my other leagues, but it's not going to be nearly as serious as the NPL. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you're looking forward to some more fun league matches, albeit with a kind of more chilled take on it all, and more lives and all that good stuff. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching.